Hi, I'm Marie Craig. I'm here to talk about the New Nostalgia, which is a collection that I curated for Fountain Street Gallery. It runs until May 24th, 2020. One of the reasons that I found this a little different from curating shows in the physical space is that a lot of the benefit that I see, particularly in group shows, of seeing artwork in a gallery in person is that apart from seeing the works on their own, which you can just engage with the texture and the color and the pattern and all the intricacy that a physical product that you're standing in front of brings beyond just the visual. I can also get great benefit from seeing things one after another, so that you can kind of see relationships between the pieces just by opening your mind, and just the connections just kind of spark as you see one piece, and then you move to the next one, and it also informs the idea and the concept behind the exhibition as a whole. So trying to recreate that in a virtual space is really difficult, particularly when you're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and just looking at one thing after another. So I'm going to try to do that today for this, in this pretend physical space, just by going through a few pieces that you can see behind me on the wall and talk about how they relate to one another and what hangs them together. So the New Nostalgia was based on the idea of the uneasy relationship that we have with the past, that oftentimes the past is idealized or fraught with memory and heartache and all those things. And each one of us, each artist, examines this from a different vantage point, just like each one of us has different remembers things in a different way. So if you've shared an event with 3 or 4 other people, each one of those people is going to have a different version of that event, a different memory. And so these artists are looking at the idea of the past and putting their own spin on it. So the first one I want to talk about is Brenda Cirioni's Distant Fire, which you can see on the left. And that is, Brenda's work has a capacity of she brings a lot of found objects and little snippets of things, fragments of found things into her work. So her work talks about resilience and rebirth and impermanence. And you can see the fire blazing in the background. And it's just a way of reminding ourselves that nothing lasts forever, and that you can see that in the little pieces of material that she's sort of immortalized in her paintings. It's very interesting, and I think that the emotional aspect is really profound. So if you look beyond hers is a piece from Rebecca Skinner's, which is entitled Fading. And that one's really different, where Brenda's has a sort of a landscape from a vantage point you can see far off into the distance. Rebecca brings us really close and takes away all the context. So our mind has to fill in those gaps, and so you immediately focus on the details, on the flaking and paint and wallpaper and the pattern, and your mind goes to that time, and whatever memory you have that brings you into the past, you take that along with you when you look at the piece. The next thing I want to talk about is the ones on the other side that are Alexandra Rozenman's, because I think that those also, first of all, just the title of the pieces, the one to the left is called Early Spring, and that one is filled with uncertainty, ambiguity. There's a central character in that painting that is just the eyes, and there's so much to be read into those eyes, and uncertainty, fear, hope. It's just really evocative. The next one is called Clean Hands, which I think is kind of funny in this context, but it's also about, you know, counting your chickens before they hatch and trying to problem solve and trying to feel your way in the dark, gloved. So like you're trying to make sense of something that's really, really uncertain. But the large painting on the far side is called Alone. It's very, very peaceful and restful and beautiful. And so it kind of blends the experience of the past memory that you bring to the examining the piece. Um, Sometimes alone is a feeling that's very scary to some people, but in this sense, it's restful and it's peaceful and it's serene. Um, these are just a few of the pieces that I brought together for the collection. I really feel that you have to see them all in order to sort of guess the breadth of the viewpoints. There's several other artists and more pieces by these three artists that are really interesting um, on their own and also in relationship to the others. The best way to see these is to go to FSFA Boston /nostalgia collections. And I suggest that you just kind of stop and take a little bit of a look because they're beautiful and there's a lot to be seen. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.